Welcome to the LEP Collaborative Podcast, the show where licensed educational psychologists, school psychs, and educational professionals come together to share stories, swap strategies, and sprinkle a little fun into our professional journeys. I'm your host, Bethany Zoller, and in every episode, we'll dive into candid conversations, expert insights, and maybe a few surprises. Let's connect, learn, and grow collaboratively. Well, welcome to the LEP Collaborative Podcast. My name is Bethany Zoller, and today I am super excited to be talking to my long-term friend, Dr. Jonathan Gage. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, first off, we've known each other, we just did the math, 18 years?
Since I think 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
So it's been like 17 years.
And how did we meet?
You were a student of mine.
Yes.
And then you were my practicum student. And
then you never could get rid of me.
I helped get the training wheels off of your little trike, but now you're on a rocket ship to the moon.
Listen, I'm going. I'm trying to drag you with me. I have been trying.
I'm more like a parachute than another engine or something.
Yeah. So we met my first year as a school psych graduate student. You were one of the adjunct faculty members who really was a baby in school psychology yourself. How long had you been a school psych when you started teaching?
I graduated on a Friday and I was teaching on Monday.
For real?
Yeah.
They didn't make you do the 2-year period?
I think they were, at that time, there was a specific class that they needed, which was research.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, I also have an opening in counseling. And since you have a background in children's mental health, do you want to teach the counseling class? And I'm like, sure, I'll teach the counseling class.
And that was the first one I had with you.
And that's the first one that you had with me.
Yeah.
And then, so you were one of my very first actual school psych classes. Because the other classes were the research was master's level kind of research, which they told me later I wasn't supposed to teach because I didn't have a doctorate.
Yeah. I was going to say, I can't teach those.
No. Rules change over the time.
Whatever. So I started, and back in the day, we did practicum the second half of your first year.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to an amazing school. They know their stuff. They're incredibly knowledgeable. But I remember going to this school, and they were very much, I always say school psychs, we kind of veer to the more clinical, overly professionalism versus those that are more personable,
Were the standardized directions?
Standardized is a little more, up for interpretation. And so I was in a very more clinically, we were very professional. The women that worked there, very elegant. That would be the word that I would use to describe them. That is not a word that has ever been
used to describe
provided for me ever in my entire life. But I remember going home to my husband and being like, I don't think this is the right fit for me. And I genuinely was like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do, because I was too silly. And I was often the loudest voice in the...
I was going to say, you have a voice and they wanted you to follow their terms.
So I remember coming and bemoaning my existence to you, and you were like, hey, you can come hang out with me. And I was like, cool, let's do that. And so then I did a year of practicum under your leadership. And I felt like that was when I finally was like, oh, I do belong in this world. And it's funny because you did it for me. And then since I worked at Fresno Pacific, then I had the opportunity to do that for multiple students who also had a very similar experience where it was that first spot didn't fit.
Right.
And so you start to doubt, well, maybe this isn't for me. And then we can find our...
And there has to be a balance, right? There has to be, you have to know how to follow the standardized kind of the behavioral expectations, and we're professional, we're going to dress professional, but school psychologists don't wear suit and ties anymore, right? You really don't go to work, all dressed up and straight nose and straight lace. You're in the business, you're in the customer service business. And who's our customers? Our customers are our students,
right?
Are the children, right? Yeah. And so if you can't relate to them, then you're already kind of failing, right? So I don't know. I think that's one of the messages that it's usually one of my final messages to my students is have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I taught you how to do the job. I taught you how to assess, how to, do behavioral, crises, every kind of thing. But if you just get so stuck in that rut
Mm-hmm.
and you don't realize that you're working with kids all the time
Yeah.
and you're having fun, like it's going to get monotonous and you're going to get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to, want to start an LEP business. Just, but where
Yeah.
where essentially you're still working with
But
kids.
you have so much more freedom
Yeah.
to be able to do it however you want. And so for me, that was a big part of it. And then also like how we interact with our parents. Because I think for me at the district that I was with, it was so away. We didn't have like a relationship with the parents. We were like
Mhm.
presenting to them, we were making them an offer.
Yeah.
And I'm much more like, I want a collaborative approach. Not that there's anything wrong with how they did it. It worked for their district. It was
Hmm.
it was the demographic they were serving that they kind of needed to be in that, but it just did not fit. And then I remember going to IEPs and watching you present, and it was much more conversational instead of a let me present to you.
And I try to throw some humor in there, but
Yeah.
also make sure it's like relatable. If you ever talk to parents that come into your IEP meetings, they'll and especially if they're like educators themselves, they'll talk about how odd it is being on that side of the table.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, like when they say that, because you really shouldn't be on at odds of the table,
Yeah.
right? Like we are all here for this one child,
Yeah.
right? It's not a us versus you. It's really like we're all talking for the betterment of your child. And I have information to share, you have information to share, the teacher has information to share, and collaboratively, yes, we drafted a plan,
Mm-hmm.
but we should be building this plan together,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was on the other side. I did an IEP for my daughter for speech.
Mm.
And they brought in an entire panel of admin because they heard I was a school psychologist. And then I asked them all to be excused. It was a lot of fun. I was like, you don't know my kid, you
Yeah,
can leave. You don't know my
if
kid.
you don't need to be here, you can leave.
I'm kind of antagonistic, but you know this about me. Okay,
Not you, no.
quick questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
I'm just gonna throw them at you.
All right, go.
What's your LEP number?
LAP 3210.
Really?
Yeah.
In a row? 3210?
That's why it's easy to remember.
That's fantastic.
We had a CASP event like probably about 2 years ago. LEP number one.
Kern Casp. Kern
Yeah, sorry.
Association.
Yeah, sorry. Current
Yeah.
association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LEP number one. He lived here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he showed up and he was like, "Hey, and
He passed away, huh?
I think he did. I,
Yeah.
I even forget what his name was, but yeah, it was kind of cool.
That's rad.
That is kind of rad. Yeah.
I'm on the California CASP LEP group, whatever we LEP committee,
Yeah.
and we are currently trying to make sense of the scope of practice that was written in the 1970s because they use words like projective type things and personality tests are in our thing.
The draw person.
Right, yeah.
Or,
So let's do it. But it's like, so now we have to figure out how to update the language, right? Like get the language up to like, okay, what was the mindset behind saying that we did personality testing in the 1970s? What does that equate to now in 2026? Which to me is like, oh, it's like social emotional assessment. But we have to find like evidence. And I'm like, that guy would have been a great.
Yeah. He could probably give you the rock shock.
I know. Yeah. You could learn a lot about me.
Probably some scary things that none of us really want to know about.
All right, so you've been
haunt your dreams.
LEP for a long time.
Yeah, since 2011.
And you have a hustle that is kind of on pause at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a paused hustle, but the name of it, once it is revived in the future, is called
Affiliated Educational Specialist Incorporated. I still have the title. I still have the business. You can still find me on Google, but
Sweet.
I don't do any real business right now.
I'll Google you.
You could go right ahead. You'll find my phone number.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I think like I get excited when I talk about LEP businesses and like how people are kind of utilizing their business and what they're doing and like the niches that they're getting into. Since I worked with the university and we had a lot of times we had interns that were working 4 days a week or they had an unpaid internship. What my kind of, I guess, bread and butter was providing school psychological services to smaller school districts.
Yep.
Anywhere from 50 kids to you know, 350 kids. That was kind of like the range.
Mhm.
Anything bigger than that, they probably had somebody either staffed or on call already. And myself and my interns would provide the school psychological services to them. I provided the oversight, I provided the mentoring, I provided the like assessment
I was gonna
plan,
say all the materials.
all the materials,
Mhm.
and we would kind of go over it, make sure that the plan was good. They knew how to like give all the assessment parts of it that they needed to. Uh, and then we would look over results, write the plan, write the psych report together, and then we'd go over it with staff, and then the interns would present it because
I need that experience.
yeah, they
Yeah.
need that experience and they got paid. They had to
Yeah.
get hours anyways, and a lot of times it was free hours that they were already getting. So this gave them a chance to get a
Yeah.
little money and
So mental health, children's mental health first,
hmm
moved into school psychology slash adjunct
hmm
gig.
hmm
Then that moved into special ed administration.
Ooh. It's like some PTSD of like special ed administration. But yeah,
Sometime along now, and then we became, what's your title at Fresno Pacific?
I am program coordinator.
Program.
Yeah, I was director, and there's like they used to call us directors at all the sites, but then they're like, well, it's really only one program,
Yeah.
so you can't all be program directors. So Dr. Whelan's our program director currently, and then all of us that kind of coordinate at the sites are now called program
You're
coordinators.
the program coordinator for the Bakersfield campus,
Yeah.
Fresno Pacific University. And then we used to have PPS and counseling. Do you still have that? Okay, so
Yeah, the counseling program's all online. So, and we
oh,
still have a dual program, a dual PPS. So, if folks wanted to get the
I don't understand.
school counseling and school psychology, so back in the day, I would say no. Like when you went through the program,
Yeah,
it's just a lot of extra hours, so some additional classes. You had a lot of counseling classes,
I did,
and
which I use now all the time.
and rightfully so. And there was like 4 or 5 counseling classes that you took.
Mhm.
Now in the CTC's school psychology performance expectations,
Yeah.
which is what we have to follow in order to get the credential, the word counseling is mentioned once,
Hmm.
and it's in a sub point in one of the SPPs, which I think is sub SPP 4, which is like behavioral and mental health.
Mhm.
And so, so there's a focus on behavioral and mental health services, but like not necessarily counseling.
Hmm.
So maybe like a lot of like
That's
social
sad.
emotional groups and like
That's like
therapy, but they don't call it counseling.
huge portion of what
Oh
we need to
yeah.
be doing as school psychologists. That's a bummer.
So I could see the dual PPS being
Helpful.
helpful in that sense to get more counseling
I
coming
just
through.
remember telling students that were, and this probably is not helpful to your program, but I used to say, you should pick a side because you're going to end up picking a side, right? You're not, I would not want a position where I was both the school counselor and the school psychologist. Maybe that makes you marketable to a specific
Yeah, but
school.
95% of them end up choosing the school psychology side because they do
Right.
that last year of full-time work
Because it's awesome.
as school psych intern.
Right.
And then they're just like,
Yeah.
well,
But
that's where the job is.
Right.
Because the job.
See, it's the same as like going on the BCBA route is it's going to make you much more stronger in your behavior stuff along the way too.
Yeah.
If you were into behavior, which I am not.
Well, and I think that's
You're
the
a
guys.
behavior lover, are you? I don't remember getting that experience with you.
Um, we had to, right? Like
Well,
we had
yeah.
like back in the day it was like COBIS training,
Yeah.
right? Like
It's
and
very
I could
Kern
do a
County
great
specific.
FBA and I
Yeah.
could do a great, positive behavior intervention plan.
Yeah.
Did I like doing them? No.
No. But there are people who that is like
That's their
their
niche.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't, that's not mine. Okay. So became director
Mhm.
and then you switched, well, you kept the coordinator.
Yeah, program coordinator.
It's just because I used to call myself the assistant to the regional director.
You're the assistant director, but it's like assistant to the regional.
I used to work alongside you for about 6 years and then I abandoned you.
Yeah, and you did a lot of the help. You actually did a lot of the coordination.
Yeah.
With field work for our
This
students.
was fun. Someday.
Used to be fun. Yeah.
Someday. Someday I'll be back. Back and ready to go.
Sunday? Okay,
No.
you said Sunday?
So you have the Fresno Pacific job, but you have another job. And what is your current job at? Where is it and what do you do?
So I work for Kern County Superintendent of Schools here in Bakersfield. My title is Management Analyst 2
That's fancy.
of Local Accountability and Control. Um,
That title tells me absolutely
yeah,
nothing
it really
about
doesn't.
what you do, just so you know.
And so my team, myself and my team, we are school and district leadership support.
Okay,
So along with like the LCAP plans, you know what an LCAP
I
is?
do.
Okay, all right.
Local
Control accountability plan.
something plan.
So we do help our districts develop those plans. We help them say like, yes, you can spend money on that, and no, you can't spend money on that. Which a lot of it's like not just academic, but it's also because they get a lot of extra money for like providing increased or improved services to students who are low income, English learners, foster youth. So a lot of times what ends up happening is like there's a lot of like PBIS and
Yeah.
MTSS services and counseling and social workers, and I try to say hire more interns, psych interns and social workers. But so a lot of it's that, and that's like probably like there's seasonality to my work, and so that's like the spring to summer is the LCAP planning,
So
but
you
there,
go from March Madness, school psychology, massive testing running, and to now having to create LCAPs and giant plans.
yes.
Okay.
But the other part, and this is kind of like the more, I don't know, like fun part of it, is continuous improvement work
Hmm.
with school districts. And so if they're, we have students with disabilities who are our students with disabilities group is being suspended more than
Mm.
everybody else. And now we're red in the dashboard and our school's like not doing great, right?
Yeah.
So myself or my team comes in and we do like, it's almost like doing a functional behavior assessment, but
Really?
instead of focusing on a child, you're
Hmm.
focusing on the whole
System.
system, right? You're focusing on the whole school or the whole district,
Yeah.
and you're going through and you're saying like, why is this happening? What is the function of these results that we're getting, and what can we do about it? So there's like interviews, there's data collection, and you end up writing a plan.
Hmm.
And the plan, like, okay, it's the children that are getting suspended, that's the outcome, but like the plan is not for the kids. The plan is always for the adults.
Right.
And when you write an FBA,
Same thing.
it's the same thing. You're not writing it for that child. You're writing it for the adults in the system.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's what do we want our teachers to do differently so the students do something differently, or
Hmm.
the staff, teachers or staff. Also, what do we want our administrators to do differently to support our teachers that are supporting our students?
Hmm.
And when district wide, like what is we want the district to do to support the staff,
Yeah.
the administration and the staff at the sites so the students don't get, say, suspended.
But yeah, your school psych skills definitely lend themselves.
So if you think of like the best practices, right? Like best
Yeah.
practices like school psychology, it's like there's like student level services and system level services. And a lot of times like we as school psychologists, like we're really good at those student level services. Like
Hmm.
that is our bread and butter. That's what we see, that's what we do every day. That's why they pay us the big bucks or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Is to be able to assess a student or what have you. But like where you capture and where you make more of an effort or make more of a difference rather would be those system level services, right?
Sure.
Casting the bigger net.
Sure.
And then also like it helps prevent you from having to try to put out a lot of little fires
Yeah.
when you have systems in place that can catch those little fires before they start. And that's why like another thing that we're doing is I collaborate heavily with a lot of other departments, especially SELPA. They're
Hmm.
like, hey, Jonathan, you got a background in special ed. Your IEP says you can play with SELPA really nice. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I do have that accommodation. I can play with SELPA real nice. And so SELPA and I like we really like collaborate on a lot of trainings and stuff together.
That's awesome.
And one that we're really looking forward to is like I don't know. It was like maybe it was like an epiphany or something that kind of sparked this last year. Is like we keep preaching to the choir. Like we keep getting special ed teachers in, we keep getting school psychologists in, we keep getting
Oh, I see
special
what
ed
you're saying.
administrators in,
We need to
and
spread the love.
we're like doing trainings with them. But
Yeah.
it's like, well, if we want our students to be included and not suspended as much, and like all the other things, we need to be training like principals and site
Yeah.
admin and gen ed teachers on what it means to belong a
Right.
student with disability to belong in a regular classroom, right?
That's huge.
And have
Because
like models,
I would say admin over gen ed teachers. I think gen ed teachers try frequently
Mhm.
to make it work, and it's that the admin doesn't actually know what it entails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a series recently. It was like a we call it like champions for students with disabilities, administrative champions for students with disabilities, and it was like based like our target audience was site
Did they get
administrators.
medals?
We did actually.
Yes.
Stephanie
Like,
Tricky, who you
I
know,
know she's a good person.
she was
Lately.
doing the groups with
I'm
me,
like, it
and
has to have, if there's a
yeah,
champion, there needs to
she's
be
like, "Well, I'm gonna
trophy,
bring
medal.
medals." I'm like, "Okay." So
Yes.
we brought
Yeah.
some medals,
That's awesome.
but it was good. It was good learning, and there's some really great like websites and work happening at some different accounting offices.
Mhm.
One is like called High Quality IEPs. I don't know if you've seen that,
Mm-mm.
but what was kind of cool and like eye opening was they have for administrator, for gen ed teacher, for schools, for like specialty providers, so school psychs, speech language pathologists,
Yeah.
and for like special ed and gen ed teachers. And it was like, what should you do before a meeting? What should you do during the
Mhm.
meeting? What should you do after the meeting? And it was like the best practices. And so being able to kind of go through that and like, a lot of administrators go, "Well, I never asked my gen ed teachers to do this
Right.
before." Or like usually they just kind of sit quiet in a meeting, like I didn't know they were
They're
supposed to
sitting there
like
answering emails.
part.
Oh, am I supposed to say that?
Well,
I think you're right.
sometimes, maybe sometimes.
Anyways. Okay.
So that's a lot.
That's a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah.
you've been a busy guy
Hmm.
and you continue to be a busy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, I do expect you to go into private practice.
I do, I itch for it.
Yeah.
I will say that I realized fairly recently, I was reviewing I'm like also a mentor, like a university supervisor mentor for students and reading through some of their like psych reports. And
Hmm.
I'm catching things from like boilerplate language
Yeah.
that should have been changed in like say 2014
Sure,
when
sure.
like ed code kind of switched over
Yeah.
and California like updated some of the
Yeah.
the disabilities and stuff. Like autism criteria changed.
Yeah.
It was like used to be like pick two out of this list
Right.
and you could qualify, and
Right.
now it's like this and this and this, and some of their boilerplate language was like old.
Hmm.
Um,
Is that hard? Because you're seeing the work from so many district people, right?
mhm,
Because they're doing this with their site supervisors, right?
right.
But you are like this other
Yeah.
who can contribute to the conversation, but doesn't really have a say in how they're gonna, I mean, like we would hope that they would take that feedback about their template.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is the way it's been done forever
Hmm.
since 2010.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know so how like is that a frustrating, is there
So
friction
So
there?
here's me promoting my business, right?
Right. Okay.
It's like who supports you as an LEP? Who
Oh
looks
no.
over your things,
True.
right? So I had started a conversation with one of the other program coordinators at FPU, and he
Hmm.
was doing something similar, and we just kind of snowballed into putting together a whole like mini skills workshop. And by the time we got it all put together, we're like, hey, we're gonna submit this to the California Association for the conference, and it was like, oh, we missed that by like a month.
Yeah.
But I came up with a framework and some learning around how to do a self review.
Oh.
So like every time you do an assessment, you should have like this self review.
Yeah.
And then like that's like tier one.
Okay.
Tier one, like you should always be reviewing your own reports. I mean, come
Sure.
on, like
Yeah.
you should not go to an IEP meeting and just
Yeah.
wing it, right?
Yeah.
Pause right there. And then tier two would be like, okay, if you're in a district, you have your like lead psych or a
Sure.
mentor psych or somebody else kind of. But here's
No,
the
I
thing is,
never had that.
but a lot of times what ends up happening is like you're writing the reports like they write them,
Exactly.
or you're sharing a template.
Right.
And I've known you've done trainings on like best practices in writing reports and things like
Yeah.
that. And your reports have evolved, right? Like your have
They don't look
evolved,
anything like they used to.
or they, and when I look back at my reports from like back when you were a practicum student of
Yeah.
mine, they are drastically different.
Hmm.
There actually is some pieces that are still the same.
Yeah.
And because it's like, well, that still works, like
Right.
whatever, like, but a lot of things have evolved, right?
Hmm.
And so then tier three would be like, not yourself, not somebody who's in the same organization as you,
Hmm.
like you having like one of your interns or something, like look at it, right?
What about
But
AI?
I guess you could.
I have
I don't,
I have a HIPAA compliant AI platform.
okay.
It's called Bastion GPT. Highly recommend. But so that's my final step is after I
Yeah.
don't have anybody that reads. Well, I guess that's not true. My assistant kind of helps put things together. But my third step is I run it through Bastion and I ask it
Hmm.
to tell me any, not necessarily for content, but like for inconsistencies. So it can catch the things that it's like, well, on this part you said this was super elevated, and then later on this other person said it wasn't. You haven't justified that difference. And so it can
Gotcha.
kind of pull out those things that I need to like fine tune in my,
Mhm.
sometimes it's a little crazy, but that's my
I don't think I've gone that far because like of the yes, I pay for like Chat GPT or whatever,
yeah,
but like I realize it's kind of like what they call like a walled garden, but in case it wasn't, in case
right.
it got like I feel like I
I
couldn't
think
put
Bastion and I think School Psych AI are the only two that are kind of
okay.
like cool to use because all the other ones you just don't know about their security and
And I
confidentiality.
think that's probably a great
So just add that in.
I'll add that in, but like the tier
Just
three would be like to have somebody else or something else look at it.
yeah.
And beyond like the compliance part of just like the report itself,
Mm-hmm.
but how does it connect with the services
Yes.
and the accommodations and things that you're actually suggesting or
Right.
recommending? Because a lot of times, like if it's teachable, observable, learnable, doable, that should be a goal.
Yeah.
If there's something in there that the child is deficient on, you should be recommending a goal from one of those things,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's part of their disability, what ends up happening? Like, well, you're recommending accommodations,
Right.
right? Accommodations for their ADHD, accommodations for parts of their learning disability, if their, working memory is low or something like that, right? So there's things that you can teach, and those need to be goals.
Mm-hmm.
So like not only looking at like, okay, this is compliant as far as a psych report and like
Right.
your,
But you want
they qualify for this
actionable.
eligibility, but
You
yeah,
want it to
like
be actionable
right, like
information.
linking that to like services and supports.
Did you suggest goals and accommodations in your psych reports when you were a school psychologist? Because I didn't. My recommendations were purely I'm recommending eligibility to the team
Yeah.
and then nothing. I will say as an LEP, I do all of those things in my
Mm.
IEE reports. So we'll talk after this is over about restructuring this specifically for LEPs because that is hard. Because a
Yeah.
lot of us have not, I mean, I was never a special ed teacher. I always had the special ed teacher was supposed to write academic goals. Well, now as an LEP, I have to do it, right? I'm going in and going, hey, this goal, I just had one with a district that will not be named who hasn't paid me. Anyways, we'll get to that another day. And they had goals that didn't match where the kid was. They had like a kid who literally couldn't write a complete sentence as a
Hmm.
third grader, and her goal was to write a 5 paragraph essay because that aligned, I guess, with state standards. I don't know them off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
but I just looked at them and I said, well, this isn't a reasonable goal. That she's never going to meet this goal. And so they, of course, would do the thing where it's like, well, out of 3 tries at 20% accuracy, and I'm like, that's failure. Your goal for her is failure, right? And so as an LEP with a school psych background, I mean, I've had to learn but like that's where I mean I feel like I don't know if school psychology really you're in the graduate program. Do
Yeah.
we teach them how to write goals now?
They're linking to services and supports.
Okay.
And going back to your original question, like, did I write it that way when I was a school psych? Or even did I expect that when I was a special ed administrator? Well, our reports were always written multidisciplinary.
Oh, okay.
So,
So were they in there then?
so they
Yes.
weren't in the report.
No.
But since the special ed teacher and the psych
Work
would work
together.
together on the report,
That
there was
was
conversations about what academic
the
skills
proposed
or
goals would
the
be.
proposed goals would be.
Okay.
Yes.
Proposed accommodation. So they weren't in your report per se.
No.
But now,
But as
which
like an LEP as a
as an
site, you don't
LEP,
have like access to their Cyrus or to their
right.
IEP to say, oh, let me go in there and draft something for you. Like
Yeah.
you have to actually kind of include it in your
I have to put it in my
report.
report.
Yeah.
So in my IEE reports, I will say like they need these specific accommodations, they need these
Hmm.
specific goals, which I
But there
don't
has to be a through line, right? I can't be like, hey, you need all these specific accommodations without justification and support,
exactly.
right? Like
Right.
I found low working memory, thus I am recommending this accommodation and this accommodation.
Yeah.
We found that the child's reading comprehension was really low, thus we're really asking for a goal. There should be an academic goal that is
Right.
around reading comprehension, at this around or if not, a little bit above this level.
Yeah.
The other thing that a lot of people like miss is like if you laid out a kid's, like if you're at a 3-year IEP and you laid out their reading goal, for example, a
Mm.
basic reading goal, like there should be connectivity between year one, year two, and year three, as
Mhm.
far as like the standard goes,
That's
right?
very LCAP of you.
There's a lot of things that are very AOCAP of me these days, but
Like,
you know, like there shouldn't be like, oh, this is dealing with this standard over here, and the next year
mhm.
we're dealing with a whole separate standard. Like, no,
Right.
it should
It
be
needs to be
aligned with
growing.
what the child's specific needs
No,
are,
that makes sense.
right?
So this training that you guys are putting together potentially is going to help people be able to do those things.
Which one?
The one that's like the skill set for the 1, 2, and 3 review
Oh,
reports.
yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay.
Well, I started building it, and then I kind of like paused when I realized that I couldn't submit it. So
Oh,
yeah, so it's
well,
like an unfinished
if
thing.
another continuing education platform was
Well,
available,
now I'm gonna have to put the
the AI,
AI thing in there.
we're coming on board.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm actively working on getting my ability to provide CEUs, and I think that has a lot of promise.
Well,
So
you know, like we'll have to co-present.
yeah, it's perfect. We've never done that before.
We always talked about
We
it.
have talked about it. Someday we will do
We're
it.
like, how much time can you give us?
So yeah, so we've known each other a long time. He won't sit next to me during professional development anymore because I talk the whole time through. But yeah, you continue to be my mentor. I would say, like, if I had to pick somebody who has steered my path, you are definitely the person that has done it the most. You taught me how to contract, right? Right off the bat.
Yeah.
You were my teacher, and then I teach very similar to you when I am teaching. You were an LEP way before I became an LEP. I have continued to hit you up over the years for everything.
And we're like friendly but competitive.
Yes.
Like we would always like when we meet, it's like, oh, how many contracts
Yes.
do you have? Oh, who are you working with?
Yes.
Oh, how many assessments did
But
you
it
do
was
this year?
motivating.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I mean, I still haven't reached it. So we have to wrap up because we're running short on time.
Okay.
But what I would love,
This is what happens with trainings. We're in trainings, and it's like all of a sudden the training's over, and we didn't pay attention to a single thing.
anything. I would love to have you come and talk with me again because the other thing that you and I are both passionate about is money.
Yes.
And the management of it and the growing of it. And I feel like that is something school psychologists don't get taught.
Yeah, I even like for a couple years in a row, like one of my final meetings that I was meeting with my interns, I would share with them like you need to save money now.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of times, so yeah, so this is definitely
It's another episode.
but like a lot of times it's like I go from never making any money to making $100,000 a year as a brand new psych, and they're like,
yeah,
right? And it's
I have told so many people that like pretend you don't have money and you are paying off that loan.
yeah.
That's it. That's your first thing. Yes, you're gonna now have gone from maybe making 20,000 a year as an intern to anywhere between what's the going rate in Kern is like 85 to 125
It's a
probably.
little higher than that now.
Is it now?
Yeah, I would say like 90s, maybe even
90s and
100.
up.
Yeah.
But you see that money coming in, and then there's just the urge to just go buy everything. And I'm like, nope, you're still broke until that debt's gone.
If you can live with parents for another year, live with parents for another year.
Do it. I didn't have that option. But I think that would be another topic for us to talk about because you and I are fiscally similar in making sure that we are investing and growing and things like that. And I feel like if you have had your whole career be as a school psychologist where it's salaried, there's a different mentality.
Yeah.
Because I've told this to people before that when I was just a contractor, when I was contracting primarily, I would go to trainings at the county or whatever the training was, and if it wasn't worth my time, I would leave. And it truly was. I mean, it sounds uppity, but I knew that my time equaled money.
Right.
And when you're a salaried person, it's not the same thing. It was like I could be going and writing these reports and finishing this contract and and this is equaling this much more money in my monthly budget. That's not a mentality that school psychs typically have. I just started that way because you taught me.
Well, and like you said, there's definitely like a lot more to this.
Yes.
But when you're a salary employee, like when you're writing IEPs at 8 to 11 o'clock at night, almost every night, because you're you're working with kids during the day.
Yeah.
Like you don't get paid extra for that.
Right.
Right. So yeah, your time is money, but there's pros and cons to each.
Yeah.
But there definitely there's a lot to talk about as far as like planning
Yeah.
and linking it to your LEP business, right? Like making sure that you're not just doing a sidestep into an LEP business. Like a lot of people are like jumping off the cliff from
Yes.
being a school employee
And
to like wanting to jump into this.
see, be successful.
Yeah,
I have, but I've also seen people crash and burn.
but you need a safety net.
You need a safety net. And I've also had people, and it's hard for me because I always want to encourage people. If you have a drive and a desire to be an LEP, do it.
Yeah.
Right. But I also am like, you need to go into it with reality check because as a school site, the work comes to you
Yeah.
more than you want typically, right? And you don't have a say in the matter. That's just like, here's another 5 kids for you to assess, whatever. As an LEP, the work is not guaranteed.
Right.
And it is not consistent. And there are months that I make a beautiful amount of money and I'm like, wow. And then there are other months that I am like, oh, good Lord, I got to make payroll, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that would be a good candid conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Because you want to come and talk to me again.
So stay tuned for a future episode.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
And for all of your support through the last 18 years. You're not getting rid of me anytime soon. So
I feel like this was just like a regular conversation that we normally have,
Yeah.
and we just ended up just recording it.
that's
And
accurate.
that, you know, but that's actually a good point for a lot of schools. Like, oh, just like record the little things that you see, the funny things that kids do.
Oh yeah, you need
right?
You need to.
And like you could probably make a book later of all the little kind of silly things that kids say or do, or
Things,
situations that they get themselves in.
Things that have been said or done at an IEP meeting.
Yeah. So.
Anyways. All right. Well, thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.